Hey DIYers, today I'm showing you how I trimmed this tree and its branches with just a pole saw. No ladder, no stress, and definitely no climbing. As you can see, there are two trees back here that need to be trimmed. They've been neglected for a while. The branches are almost touching the ground. The goal is to clear out the overhang, and I created this video so that you can see me do this and have inspiration if you have overgrown trees to get this done in your yard. I used a pole saw called a pruner. Now you see me cutting, I call them wild trees. They're little trees that grow, and if you don't catch them ahead of time, they grow kind of out of control. They'll mess up bricks, fencing, things like that. So I saw them and wanted to take care of them while I was out there. Now you see me putting together this Husky brand pruner. Very new tool for me. First time using it. I was needed to put the blade on it, and so I'm looking at the instructions for that. And it took me a couple of minutes to figure out what I was doing and how to put it together. Here I am attempting to cut my first branch. First branch is off. Now I'm tackling the second branch. Be sure that when you do this, you're not in the way when the branches fall. Sometimes depending on the way you have to cut, that might be, a bit difficult. So you place the tool around the branch, and there is a rope that you need to pull in order for this tool to cut the way that it should, to get those branches down. And I was at this point on flat ground, cutting as much as I could from the tree. And so far, as you can see, it's, moving pretty good. So I continue to cut branches, as many as I can, from the ground. A few of them did require, some extra strength, some extra pulling, but I was able to move along at a pretty good pace, even though, it was kind of warm outside. Now I've climbed, I use a step stool to climb onto the slope, and I have to remember as I'm pulling and trying to cut these branches that I also have to keep my balance, because I am operating on a slope and it can get pretty slippery up there depending on where you are and how you're moving. So I would say overall this went smoothly. I would also suggest you don't let your trees get this out of control. I got a couple of estimates to have the trees trimmed, in particular the big one and this one, and the estimates were $1,800, and then just to trim the trees was $850. So I decided that I would save the money, buy the tool, which cost me roughly $80, and trim the trees myself. the cost was motivation to trim the trees. But at some point, I'm going to have to take off part of the top of the tree. The city takes care of the bigger tree. There are pole lines behind it, so wires behind it, and that is their responsibility. However, to the left, to the right, of the tree is lines, electricity lines, and the city will take care of that. So when they come out, they cut the tree in an L because to the left of the tree there are no lines. So it's making the tree lopsided, and I will have to or need to make sure the tree is trimmed appropriately, and I will probably bring it down below the lines. But as you can see, I'm continuing to move around the tree. A couple of branches fell into the neighbor behind me yard. I contacted them, told them, the branches fell behind, and if they didn't want to dispose of the branches, they could throw them back into my yard. Now I'm throwing off some of the branches that fell, and I tried to step on the retaining wall, but was a bit unstable. So make sure, if you're not on flat ground, that you're actually stable so that you don't injure yourself. But it moved pretty smoothly, and I just continued to work. So here I am climbing back on the hill. Looks like I was cleaning up and actually slipped when I grabbed that branch. I'm glad it was there. But now I am using that MultiPurpose Tool from Milwaukee to actually cut into the branch. This branch was too thick for the pruner I was using to cut, so I used the Milwaukee branch to cut this branch. The Milwaukee 2 rather, to cut this branch, and another branch right there because I wanted them back below the retaining wall. I did not want them to stick out further than the retaining wall. I am now cleaning up. The goal is to put as much as I can in the trash can, but there was already yard waste there. I will place as much as I can in the bin and then move the rest of the material to an area out of view in the yard where I can continue to cut it down, and then over the next few weeks put it in the yard waste bin. I did not make it to the other tree. I got really tired. I guess I thought I was Superwoman and really being ambitious when I attempted to try. But cleaning up for now. So this is a Husky brand. It's a 16 feet or foot pruner, and basically you have to get the tree branch around this part, and then the string is pretty long, the pole expands, and once you have the tree around that part, you pull it and it cuts the tree. So this is what I've used to cut or prune this tree. And again, the goal is just to do the overhang. So here I have my Milwaukee multi-purpose tool. I love this tool. I use it quite a bit around the house, but when you see me shaving off the edges of the branches, this is what I was using. I just wanted to let you guys know what I use to accomplish this task. Let's look at the before again. As you can see, the branches were overgrown, almost touching the ground. It had been a while since the tree had been trimmed, and as you can see, it was definitely time to tackle this task. This is what I started with. Here's the final product after I've cleaned up. It looks pretty good. I think I could have a job trimming trees. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The entire job took me about 2 hours from start to finish, not counting my breaks. It was pretty hot, about 90 degrees, but I am entirely satisfied with the outcome of this tree.